We may only be in February, but here's another reminder that the World Cup in South Africa is almost upon us. EA Sports have taken the wraps off their official video game of this year's tournament, and we caught a first glimpse at a special event at Chelsea's Stamford Bridge. The game's producer Simon Humber was on hand to talk us through what footy fans can expect.
Now, you mentioned in your demonstration earlier about player likenesses and how they've been sort of tweaked a little bit, particularly with a number of England players. A lot of that's down to new use of lighting in the game. Can you just talk us through that? One of the major recipients is Peter Crouch, of course.
So every player in the game will look better just because we went back to basics on the lighting and looked at what we'd done over the last few years, what was working, what wasn't working. So we took it apart, put it back together again and came up with some better results, which is fantastic. So we saw Ashley Cole, how he now looks in the game. He looks far more authentic. And then there's players we've gone back and said, okay, their heads at the time they were probably okay, but our standards have gone up since then, so let's go back and rework as many of them as possible. So Rio Ferdinand and Peter Crouch were the ones we looked at. And Rio Ferdinand looks a lot more authentic now, quite scary looking. Peter Crouch actually looks human, which is quite handy for Peter Crouch. So I'm sure he'll be happy with his new look in the game.
So in terms of actual gameplay changes and refinements, what would be the most noticeable differences?
For anyone who's played FIFA 10 for any period of time, they're bound to have encountered their own personal frustrations, and one of the biggest ones was how easy it was to score chipped goals.
Sure.
And then secondly, taking the chip shot was easier than it should have been. There were places in the game where players would lose their momentum because they'd stop to chest the ball, or some other touch they're taking in the air. So a couple of really bad cases were a through ball over the top. If the player ran onto it and decided to chest it, it stopped dead.
Sure.
The defender would come back and make the challenge. And then equally in defence, when a cross would come over, sometimes your defender, instead of clearing the ball, would decide to chest it. And then he'd take a couple more touches to try and turn around to clear it, and in that time an attacker would come in, take the ball off you and quite often score. So we've gone through all the feedback from FIFA 10, both from community, reviews and our own thoughts on the game, and attacked as many of them as possible in the time period we had. So we end up with over 100 improvements from FIFA 10.
And in terms of stats within the game, who would you say would be the players to look out for come the summer?
So I guess we're talking about the Arshavin factor from the last Euro. I remember looking at our stats in Euro after Arshavin had become the player of the tournament, and we'd underrated him based on how he performed then. So what we're doing in the World Cup to alleviate that is, during the World Cup tournament, we're going to update the database. So if a player such as Arshavin emerges again, we can change his stats halfway through the tournament so that suddenly in the game he'd be playing as well as he's playing at the actual tournament.
Now, there's also a new online mode as well, a number of new online modes for the World Cup game. Can you just talk us through those?
So the online mode we're talking about today is the whole finals from South Africa now being online. So the group stage and the knockout stage, 7 games on the road to glory. So you play your first group game, we match you up against someone else who's playing their first group game. You'll take the win, the draw or the defeat. Same for the second game. So you come into the third match with a number of points. If you've got 0 points, you're out already, so the tournament ends for you. If you're somewhere between, you've still got a chance to qualify. And if you can win the final, you'll get the whole trophy presented to you in a stunning sequence, and that will be your World Cup win, and you'll fully deserve it, because there's going to be a lot of people out there trying to win the World Cup for themselves. This is all packaged up in a feature called Battle of the Nations. So what happens is, every time you play an online World Cup match, the team you're using earn points for the team you support. So I support England. Every match I win in the online World Cup, regardless of what team I'm using, go towards England fans. If I choose to play as a weak team like Vanuatu and I win matches, I'll get a load of points compared to if I choose Brazil. So the idea is, we want to see which nation has got the best football gamers. And also, it's a challenge to the hardcore fans who think they're really good at the game, well, they are really good at the game, to go and win the World Cup using these lesser nations and get tons of points for their country, and then get the kudos of, I won the World Cup with Burkina Faso or something like that.
Now, one of the most interesting things, no doubt, for this World Cup is obviously it's the first time it's being held in Africa. Now, a lot's been made of how you're going to present that in the game, this sort of carnival atmosphere that we're going to see hopefully in the stadiums in June. Can you just talk us through that?
So in terms of the audio for the World Cup matches held in South Africa, when we first watched the Confederations Cup broadcast last summer and heard how different the sound of football was down in South Africa, we knew that we had to do something special for the crowd soundtrack for the game. So we got hold of FIFA, said, can you drop us some digi-tapes of the matches? We took the audio from the tapes and compiled an authentic South African atmosphere, including the lovely vuvuzela, the plastic long pipe instrument that apparently is the sound of South African football. I like the atmosphere it's created in this game. It sounds so different to club football. International football just has that unique sound to it.
It's a question that often gets asked. Obviously there's new FIFA every year, and in this year we have a World Cup game. What makes this so special that an owner of FIFA 10 who's just bought it just before Christmas would want to buy this?
You know, true football fans are going to want the World Cup experience to supplement their FIFA experience. In the World Cup game you've got 199 national teams, which you don't get in FIFA. The atmosphere is totally different. Visually it's massively enhanced, plus FIFA 10 gameplay isn't now the latest gameplay, the World Cup gameplay is. There's 100 or so improvements we talked about, so if you want to play our best version of our football gameplay engine, the World Cup product's where to get that.